Hey kids, how y'all doing? All right, so let me go ahead and get this started. All right, so we're continuing our discussion on absolutism. We've got a wonderful, wonderful lesson today on absolutism. And not just absolutism, but the transfer of government from absolutism to constitutionalism, and specifically England. So our lesson essential question over here on the board is, what were the causes and effects of absolute monarchs? Okay, so we've been talking about absolute monarchs we talked about in Spain and in France and in Prussia, Austria, Russia, and then yesterday we talked about England. England's very important because obviously we get a lot of our governmental background from England, and there's some similarities, and England was our mother country, so it's important to know. And this is really a great story, a wonderful story about how England became a constitutional monarchy. All right, so we've already had this discussion, and now we're going to use a wonderful graphic organizer type activity, and it's called the human timeline. Okay, and on your human timeline, you've got 20 different events. Okay, so we're going to start today with our human timeline, and one of the things you'll notice is you've got blanks. So we got to fill in the blanks. Here are the tools that you'll need to do this. Okay, obviously you have your human timeline, and this is an SSC3 LTF A+ college ready. Wonderful. Thank you for the dab, Travis. Activity. Okay, so here's what you need. You need a paper pen. You've got your computers. Okay, paid for by the school system that you know you love and always work out. So, and here's all you're going to need. You go to Google Classroom. Go to Google Classroom. Go to Google Classroom, and open up the folder, and then go to Word Bank, because you're going to need a word bank. All these blanks will come from the word bank. And make a my copy. Make a my copy, and I'll show you why in a minute. Also open up the slide notes for chapter 5. Kids, all you're going to need to do this is the slide notes from chapter 5, which we've covered. The word bank, and that's it. Don't go on Quizlet. Don't go on the Google. Don't go on the internet and try to look up the answer to these, because they're not going to be exactly there. Okay? So this is all you're going to need. Make a copy of my copy. Now, here's why. Here's what I want you to do. Go ahead and look up on my big screen. And I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to do a wonderful job of modeling this. So here I am right here. Here's my word bank. Okay, I'm going to go to File, make a copy, put the word my in front of it. Okay, my copy. And that's a copy that you're going to work with. Okay, now, open up slides, and you don't really have to make a my copy of this. I think I've got one here, but it's unnecessary. Now, go on down to slide 68, and this is where you're going to start from. All right, this is all your stuff on England. Okay. All right, so let's take a look. And I'll go ahead and open up a big one here. All right. So if you look up here at my screen, I can show you how to do this first one. So if you go over here to the beginning of the slides and you kind of scroll down here, there's a wonderful, quick little timeline right here, just so you can get the people in order, like the kings and then Cromwell's in the middle, right? And that's good. And we've covered all this yesterday, but it's a really good idea to flip through these before you get going once I turn this over to you. So first thing that happens, James is in here, so come back here, And, well, I already put that in there, but go down to your human timeline. Okay. Let me erase a couple of these right here. All right, find out where James becomes the king, 1603. Now, I went ahead and copy and pasted. You don't have to do that. But watch what I'm going to do here. I'm going to put a strike through. I'm striking through this so that I know I've already used that. On your computers, it's Command-Shift-X and put a strike through line. You can delete it, but I'd suggest not deleting it because you're going to want to know that it's still there. Okay? All right. Let's go back to the human timeline. So I know you're really interested in jumping right into it and going off on your own, but follow me. Let's work this one together right here too. All right. Number 2, he was divine right king. So what generally the odd number refers to the even number. So James first, and he was divine right king. Struggled with Parliament. A lot of the monarchs struggle with Parliament, so that's not necessarily the most important thing. But we already got James first. Now let's find the next thing. Look on number 4. What's a key phrase in this? He was forced to sign the petition of right, then he ignored it. What's a key phrase? Right, exactly. Petition of right. So, go to the slides, scroll down to where you find petition of right. Okay, here's the first slide with petition of right. Keep in mind, the slides pretty much are in chronological order too, right? Generally, they almost always are, but they are here. So you find petition of right. Okay. All right. What happens before petition of right? Well, there's some stuff in here about Charles I and all that. Let's go take a look at our word bank. And we find anything that looks familiar. There we go. Charles I becomes the king. Okay. Charles I becomes the king. So I'm going to go ahead. Put it in right here on number 3. You can write this on your paper. And now go back to your word bank and do a strike through. Now I know I've already used that. And there's my graphic organizer, human timeline, SSC3, LTF, A+ college ready, higher order thinking, rigor, worksheet. Yes, so.
How come there's nothing in the parentheses number 1?
Oh, you could go ahead. That's a good question. You could just go ahead and stick in a 03 right there. Okay. The even numbers, some of the even numbers have a blank for dates, like number 6 has a blank for a date. You can fill that in. There's 1 or 2 that are kind of tricky, and if you can't find an exact date, just kind of skip it. Okay. I think there's one on here like when somebody becomes a king or when his son comes in or something like that. If you can't find a date, don't worry about it. There's maybe one that's kind of difficult to find. Okay. Keep in mind you're doing all the odds except number 18. Everybody look at number 18 real quick up on my screen. There's a blank on 18. That's the only even number one that'll take something from your word bank. And it's just a 2-word thing. So there you go. Other questions? Anything else? Any other questions? Okay. Keep in mind everything's chronological. Go through your slides. Use your word bank. Use your general knowledge of the events. Things like that. And don't forget, tomorrow's our test on Chapter 5. All your completion work is on the board. It's also on your Google Classroom. And I think that's it. And the rest of our friends will be back tomorrow from Dauphin Island. Okay. Anybody else have anything? Questions? All right. I'm going to turn this off then. All right. I think it's still recording.